Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
How about a Barker at quarterback for the Crimson Tide? We've seen it before. Well, it looks like it's going to happen again. Braxton Barker, quarterback at Spain Park in Hoover and the son of former national championship Alabama QB Jay Barker, committed to the Crimson Tide as a preferred walk-on on Monday. The younger Barker said playing at Alabama has always been his dream. And you know what? You got a dream, you got to go for it. Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. Tonight, once again, from Buffalo Rock, we've got ice-cold Pepsi. Like I always say, that sounds good. Let me tell you something, that taste, it's even better going down. Pick up some great Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store from Buffalo Rock Pepsi, a Southern original. All right, Rod, tomorrow is National Signing Day. Didn't we just say that a couple months ago?
Seems like it.
We did, back in December. But it's back again, the original February signing period, the second signing period of this season. And Rodney and I will be back on the air tomorrow afternoon. As always, tune in to WVUA 23 at 3:30. We will be in the North Zone inside Bryant-Denny Stadium at the Red Elephant Club for our 1-hour Tider Insider TV Signing Day special. We'll break down the entire Alabama signing class from December and from tomorrow. Plus, we'll take you live to the Malmore Athletic Complex for Nick Saban's Signing Day press conference. This is where you need to be tomorrow afternoon for all of your Alabama football recruiting. That starts tomorrow at 3:30. Well, Rodney, we talked about it last week, and we'll go in depth tomorrow when we know what the class is going to finally look at. But any quick final thoughts tonight on how Alabama's positioned heading into the big day on Wednesday? We know they'll sign probably at least 7, maybe even 8. Just give us a little insight to how you think it's all going to come together.
Yeah. Well, you know, Gary, I think that hopefully they'll sign 8. They've got 8 spots certainly there available, and when you look at it, they're on a lot of really top players. A couple of really outstanding receivers, Jalen Waddle, Justin Ross, an offensive lineman, Nicholas Pettit-Freer, some defensive linemen, which they need to finish with, some secondary guys. We've talked about Patrick Surtain. We've talked about Eddie Smith. We've talked about Tyson Campbell, possibly some others that are in the mix there at defensive back, at the corner position especially. So I think they're in position to really finish well, Gary. But listen, we've talked about this too. Mm-hmm. It's extremely competitive.
Yeah, other schools are trying too.
It's a lot more competitive. Fans, they really expect Alabama to continue to have the #1 class, and I can tell you, the competition's really ramping up.
Yeah, we've said this before. A lot of the things that Nick Saban did when he first got to Alabama, everybody does
That's
now.
right.
Whether it's flying to prospects' homes in helicopters to, the big SUVs to take people around, all the facilities. Everybody is, as you said, it's not like they just say, well, here's Alabama, we're going to give up on this kid. It's a battle to the end.
In fact, when Alabama's involved, they ramp it up even more. So, again, it's really competitive.
But 3:30 tomorrow, we're going to have it covered for you with the Tider Insider Signing Day special. All right, let's talk a little hoops, Roddy. The men's basketball team is putting its young freshmen to work. A great performance by the Tide this past Saturday in Gainesville against Florida. Bama pulled off an 18-point win, 68-50. Colin Sexton led the way with 17 points and 6 assists, also 8 rebounds. Now, the win moved the Tide into a tie for 3rd place in the SEC, 15-8 overall on the season. And Avery Johnson, he wants to keep it going.
Overall, we were pleased with the results. There were some details within that game that we still need to improve, or areas we still need to improve. But the men are focused and they're fighting, and our chemistry is good at this point of the season.
And Alabama is in action as we speak right now in Starkville at the Humphrey Coliseum against Mississippi State. Alabama leading that one 20-17. Highlights tonight on WVUA 23 News at 10. But, Rodney, I think the big issue right now for this team, and has been, is just consistency. Huge wins the last 2 Saturdays over Oklahoma on the road, or Oklahoma at home and on the road in Gainesville. But sandwiched in between was a home loss to Missouri. And you just never know with this team. Remember, they had the road game at Ole Miss where they played poorly. unfortunately, it's almost like they have to play bad in order to play good. I know Avery Johnson's hoping, let's play good and then play good again.
But didn't Missouri have another big win?
Yeah,
didn't
over
they
Kentucky.
follow it up?
Now, they're a good team.
Yeah, they followed it up.
Yeah,
so,
they did.
Again, the competition is
that
certainly.
has a lot to do with it,
yeah. So I would say this, too. Again, we've said this repeatedly. The youth of this team sometimes, Gary. But I tell you, I thought they looked fantastic. And a lot of people said, well, Florida just didn't play well. It wasn't so much at Alabama. I thought Alabama played extremely well, especially down the stretch, Gary.
Second half was dominant.
Yeah, I thought that Alabama continued to keep the pressure on. They continued to hit shots. I thought they protected the ball pretty well. I thought they looked really good.
Tonight's a big game simply because it's a road game. It will be a chance for Alabama to have its third road win of the year because you still got to go to Auburn. You still got to go to Lexington. You got Tennessee coming in here on Saturday. So there's some tough games ahead. But this team right now is on track. I'm not saying they're in, but they're on track to be in the NCAA tournament. And, man, we're so excited. That would be – how much fun would that be in March?
I can feel
to be back in the NCAA tournament.
I can feel your excitement.
Hey, I love spring football, but I'd also like a little March Madness, too. Well, still to come on Tider Insider TV. We're 3 weeks away from the NFL Combine. Find out which former Alabama players will be showing their stuff in Indianapolis, and there is a lot of them. Plus, Alabama softball opens the season this weekend, actually on Thursday night in Mobile, then in Gulf Shores over the weekend, and baseball starts next week. We'll hear from Patrick Murphy and Brad Bohannon when we return. Plus, we'll be getting to those phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, I encourage you to go ahead and call in now so you can get through 205-348 WVUA. That's 348-9882, or email us at TITV@WVUA23.com, or you can tweet at us. Brandon will be checking those tweets. Please use the hashtag TITV, and we'll try to get you on that way as well. Come right back with us. The award-winning Tider Insider TV will return right after this break. NFL, you come to Alabama. 14 Crimson Tiders received invitations to the NFL Combine later this month. That's far and away the most for any program in the country. The Combine begins on February 27th in Indianapolis. The former Tide players who will be there are defensive backs Anthony Averett, Tony Brown, Minka Fitzpatrick, Ronnie Harrison, and Levi Wallace. 5 secondary players. Wow. Linebackers Rashawn Evans and Sean Dion Hamilton. Wide receivers Robert Foster and Calvin Ridley. Defensive linemen Josh Frazier, Deron Payne, and Deshaun Hand. Running back Bo Scarborough and punter J.K. Scott. One notable omission, and I'm really disappointed in this. Center Bradley Bozeman did not get an invitation. You'd think all the offensive line coaches in the NFL want to see him in action, but he'll still get a shot, but can't quite figure that out. Should have been 15. Either way, an impressive group of players, and nice for Alabama to have this announced the day before signing day. Rodney, that doesn't hurt.
Did you
Final
see
recruiting pitch.
5 DBs?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
if you're a DB out there, you're looking for a place to play, you want an opportunity to go to the NFL, any position, but certainly as a DB.
Yeah, it's a whole signing, a whole secondary there.
Yep.
And do you think the day before signing day that word gets out? That's got to help final push in recruiting, right, man?
You know, Nick Saban never misses anything. He'll certainly use that.
And for the Alabama players that are going to the Combine, I think sometimes the Combine can be overrated, and what I mean by that is the bottom line is, can you play football or not? But I'm telling you something. It's important, Rodney. Guys train for it. They train for it hard. Alabama's got a great training program in place, because if you go up there and they already like you as a football player, and then you run a fast 40, or you have a high vertical, or you bench 225 a lot of times, it only increases your value, right?
You know, I'm really interested to see what kind of numbers Tony Brown puts up. I mean, he is a freak athlete, and how much that might help him. And what about Rashawn Evans? I think he's going to put up some numbers too.
He is. Yeah. and he's listen, he's going to be a first rounder. I think in Brown's case, you're right. I think he could test well. And I'll say this, he had some struggles in secondary, but being a quality special teams guy, you can play in the NFL for a while. And he's got a chance to do that, I think. And then be a backup secondary guy and a special teams warrior. We'll see. But, I want to see all those guys make it. Again, disappointed Bradley Bozeman didn't get a Combine invite, but he'll have a chance in the NFL, that's for sure. Well, Brad Bohannon's been the Alabama baseball coach for 8 months. He's 1 week away, a little more than a week away, from his first game as the Crimson Tide head coach against Valparaiso. He met with reporters yesterday and said he likes where his team's at, and he expects his players to really get after it and play hard this season.
I hope you see a really competitive group that enjoys playing. I think they like each other. We like them. They like us. And, we're pushed them really hard. And then once February the 16th gets here, it's going to be time to play. And hopefully they just go out and have fun and play aggressively and play free.
So baseball starts next week. Softball is in action this week. The Tide missed out on the Women's College World Series last year, just barely. And Patrick Murphy said, obviously, getting back to Oklahoma City is the goal. Well, it all starts inside the circle.
We got to get good starting pitching, and we've got a first-team All-American coming back in Alexis Osorio. We're going to start with her. And then we have two really talented new kids, junior college transfer from Florida Southwestern who was from New Zealand, and then a freshman from Missouri who was the player of the year in that state as a senior. She's left-handed. Madison Preston is her name. So if we can get good starts from whoever's on the mound, I think it's going to help us out a lot.
And Alabama fans, softball fans are second to football fans in their passion for following their team. We've already got some emails. Bama fans are already edgy a little bit about this team after they came close but did not make it to Oklahoma City. The good news, Rodney, this is a veteran team. 13 returners, 6 seniors, and I no doubt in my mind Osorio is one of the best pitchers in the country. They got to develop a second starter. I think defensively they'll be good. I think they'll hit better. And if they hit better, kind of like they hit down the stretch last year, I think they can get back to OKC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, they've made it so often, Gary, that even last week I got confused. I realized it was a super.
Well, they were
regional.
close. They took Florida right down to the wire.
Yeah, and you know what? Listen, I think this team will be better. I know that talking to Patrick Murphy, and it's been a while, but when we had him here, he was really excited about the future, and he thought it was going to be this team had an opportunity to be really good.
I think they do, and I think he likes this team a lot. I think he feels like he can push them, again, because of the experience. They've been around the block. He's going to coach them hard. It's a tough league, a lot of good teams, but this Alabama softball team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Again, they start Thursday night in Mobile against South Alabama, and then they go to that tournament in Gulf Shores over the weekend. What a great way to start. Be a good weekend ahead of the beach if you want to watch some softball down at Gulf Shores. All right, the men's basketball team sprung the upset in Gainesville. Could we see the gymnastics squad win at Florida as well? We'll hear from Dana Duckworth. And next, hey, you're in luck. Phone lines are open. Brandon tells me you can get through right now on the Daniel Moore New Life Art Hotline at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Email us at the address on your screen or tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We want to hear what's on your mind. It's signing day eve. Do you think Bama will close with a flurry? Or are you one of those that thinks the Tide is losing ground to Georgia? You got an opinion? Let us hear from you next here on TITV. The Alabama gymnastics team is starting to find its rhythm. The Crimson Tide scored its first 197 at the Power of Pink meet last week, taking down 8th-ranked Arkansas for a 3rd win this season. This Friday night, it's 5th-ranked Florida in Gainesville. It'll be a tough matchup, but Dana Duckworth says that suits her team just fine.
I think our ladies thrive under even higher pressure. We talk about how pressure the idea of pressure creates diamonds. And that's what we want to become. We want to use that pressure and that excitement and the energy of the crowd to help us be prepared for the postseason, which is loud, just like that.
Getting ready for the postseason for Alabama gymnastics. That's what it's all about. All right, we're going to get ready to head to our phone line, sponsored by Daniel Moore's New Life Art. Daniel Moore has released a preliminary pencil sketch of a full-color painting that will commemorate the University of Alabama's 17th National Championship in football. Information about how to pre-order the painting with prices beginning at $189 is available at www.newlifeart.com. So get on there now. It's going to be something special. I'm looking at it right there. He's the best in the business. All right, speaking of the New Life Art Hotline, Sammy in Walker County is with us to lead things off. Hey, Sammy, what's going on, man?
Thanks, Gary. Rodney, good talk with y'all, and good to touch base with y'all again. And Rodney, I was just wondering what, both of y'all, what y'all thought about the big center prospect from Indiana. What chances is he going to have a legit chance of probably pushing to play in there early next year with that big size he's got, What do you think?
Is he talking about Emil Ekior?
Yeah, that's what he's talking about in Indianapolis.
Yeah, out of Indianapolis Cathedral, Emil Ekior. Listen, again, I don't know. The guy hasn't even suited up, Sammy, gone through a spring practice or a practice, and really like to see them here before, you make some observations first. But I'll tell you this, the guy's very highly regarded. He was committed to Michigan for a long time, flipped his commitment to Alabama, signed early. I really like him. I think he's a good interior player, could play center, could play guard. We'll see how it shakes shakes out. But very intelligent kid, and I think he's a good pickup.
Thank you, Sammy. I also want to thank Sammy for bringing us that big pot of jambalaya last week, Rodney. You got your fair share of it.
I did.
That stuff was good, man. He just showed up with a pot of jambalaya about that big around. Feed an army. All right, let's stay on the phones and talk with Gary. Gary's calling from Lee. Is that right?
Yes. How y'all doing this
Hey,
afternoon?
where's Lee at, Gary?
Leeds.
Oh, Leeds. That's what I thought,
Yeah, on the other side of Birmingham.
Yeah, I know that's it. Yeah, it said Lee on the screen. Gary from Leeds. Yeah, because my name's Gary Lee. That's my middle name. All right, Gary in Leeds, what you got going on tonight, man?
I would like to know what's the difference between a walk-on and a preferred walk-on.
Okay, Rodney, I can start us off there. Preferred walk-on is someone that has been told their status as a walk-on, possibly to make the roster for fall camp or what have you. They get preferential treatment over walk-ons who just come that aren't preferred walk-ons. I mean, it's about giving extra opportunities to them, right?
You know, and I don't know exactly how many walk-ons actually get cut, Gary, or if that's the word for it, but obviously you can't keep everyone that wants to walk on. I mean, there's only a certain number that you can have.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes when a guy's just a walk-on, unless he's impressed.
He's having to earn a spot.
Yeah, right.
A preferred walk-on is pretty much guaranteed a spot on your team.
Certainly has an opportunity.
Yeah, that's for sure. Good call there from Leeds with Gary. Email is from Dennis and wants to know about softball. What caused her downfall in softball the last couple of years? Do you see competing for another championship soon? Again, Dennis, high standards at Alabama because, I mean, last year, I mean, you know, my goodness, they were within – an inning or two of getting back to the World Series. They got to the Super Regional in Gainesville, won Game 1, lost a couple tough games in Game 2 and Game 3. So it's not like, I wouldn't say downfall. I understand what you're saying. You want to go to Oklahoma City every year. Okay, I get that. But I think they're close. And, yes, I think they can get back there. As Rodney was saying about recruiting, and the same thing with men's basketball. The SEC's competitive. I mean, everybody's trying to win. You know, it's not like Alabama's the only team trying to win in softball. I mean, they're all trying to win. And it's hard, but I think they can get there this year.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and no question about it. Again, Gary, I think that as we've said this repeatedly, Patrick Murphy's really excited about this team, think they have an opportunity to be really good. And again, you know, sometimes when you're talking about standards, I mean, you have to realize that, you know, this program is held to a really high standard because they kind of set the mark in the SEC, first SEC team to win a national championship. So,
and ask how many other SEC teams would like to have won a national title. Alabama and Florida, that's it. And Auburn came close, but they didn't get it done. All right, don't go anywhere. Both Alabama tennis teams keep getting it done. An update on their incredible streaks to start the season. Plus, more phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, there's the number 205-348-9882. Email us at TITV at WVUA23.com, or you can tweet at us using the hashtag TITV. We're back with more of your phone calls right after this. The men's tennis team was 1-0 this past week. The women 2-0. Both teams are still perfect. Each 9-0 to start the season. An incredible run for the Crimson Tide. The women are in Seattle for a 3-match tournament this weekend, while the men are home for 3 starting on Friday. Congrats, man. They are playing well, both men and women. All right, let's get right back to the Daniel Moore New Life Art Hotline. Ken is with us down in Randolph County. Hey, Ken, how are you, man? Ken, you there? I think Ken wanted to talk to Randolph County. That's Bradley Bozeman's old stomping grounds down there. I think he wanted to talk about Bradley Bozeman's chances in the NFL and not getting to the combine. I've already said, I think his omission is I wouldn't admit it. I'd have him there at the combine. But he's tough. He's hard-nosed. He understands how to play the game of football. And I think he's going to get a shot in the National Football League.
You know, he's blue-collar.
Yeah, he is.
And there's been a lot of players, a lot of players that were taken late, that weren't drafted, that have been very successful. And I think if anybody could fit that mold, Bradley Bozeman's got the kind of work ethic, the mindset, Gary, the makeup to do that.
Yeah, you'd like to be invited to the Combine, no doubt about it. But there are a lot of great NFL football players who did not go to the Combine. All right, let's go to Birmingham and talk with Greg. Greg, welcome into the program, man. Greg, you with us?
Hey, how are y'all tonight?
Very well. Go ahead, Greg.
Good. Just a couple of comments. Normally, I don't worry about what the coaching staff is doing as far as who they're recruiting and whatnot, but as best I can tell, we're signing a lot of defensive linemen, but no real defensive nose tackle types. They're mainly defensive end, and we're recruiting a lot of corners and not a lot of safeties. And we've got 2 safety spots open, and we don't have a lot of bodies that fit a safety type of a role. And it just seems to me we're not filling our need.
All right, Greg, great call. He's concerned first about a lack of interior defensive linemen in the recruiting.
Well, first of all, they signed Fedarian Mathis last year. He's a 300-plus pound kid. So Deron Payne played this year, 310?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of difference in the size. Again, Fedarian Mathis is a young kid that redshirted. They've got a kid named Christian Barmore committed right now. He's 300-plus pounds. He's an interior player. Stephon Wynn, now he's not going to be a nose guard, but he's a 300-pound-plus guy. So they are recruiting some size on the interior. And then as far as the secondary.
And they hope to get Bobby Brown.
And Bobby Brown.
What about safety types, real quick,
298. Well, safety, they signed 2 of the best last year.
Yeah.
When they signed the kid from over in Georgia, Xavier McKinney, and also signed Daniel Wright out of the state of Florida. So those are 2 of the top safeties in the country. They have some other guys, certainly. Deontay Thompson's still here. You could move some guys around. They're signing 6 DBs this year, so.
Good call. I hope we answered it for you, Greg, but I think you said it originally. Don't worry about it. I think Coach Saban will take care of things. All right, real quickly, an email from Ronald and Gadsden. How would you rate Braxton Barker? That will be coming in as preferred walk-on at quarterback. Hey, you know what? Anytime you can get a quality player, a legacy like that, who's willing to come as a preferred walk-on, can take his time learning the situation with the program, it's a good thing. It's certainly not a bad thing.
Yep. And I saw a little bit of Jay in him.
Yeah.
Didn't you see it?
Yeah, he's got that toughness. Not quite as tall as Jay, but he'll pull it down and he'll run with it, that's for sure. We'll be back. Thanks for the phone calls. We'll be back to wrap things up right after this. And I hate to have to report this. Sad news for Alabama fans. Former defensive lineman Jeremy Nunley, a member of the 92 National Championship team, passed away last night. He was just 46. He leaves behind his wife, Marty, a former Bama gymnast, and 2 lovely daughters. Condolences to the family. Our beautiful shirts and ties tonight provided, as always, by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. Get by and see them in person or shop online. They will take care of you. Alex and Rush and those folks are good people. Also, halftime, Mississippi State leads Alabama 30-28. You can catch a replay tonight at 10:30. For Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.